Yahweh to me on side. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who is who the world knows as Jesus Christ. I'm going to speak really loud because I don't have the megaphone with me today. And this is on the behalf of S.F.I.A Foundation, Israelite Academy. That's S.F.I.A Foundation, Israelite Academy. Also follow us at S.F.I.A, S.F.I.A Foundation International Ministries. And on today, we're going to give double honor to the elders, salutations to the Akim that's preaching this truth in sincerity, that's edifying the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, okay? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites according to Bible prophecy, heritage, and bloodline. And we're here to edify you and only you. The hell with the heathen. We're not here for the heathen. We're here for our people, okay? So on my right, we have Brother Malachi Israel, and on my far right, we have Yeremia Israel. And in the back, we have my lovely wife, Judith Israel, and also my youngest son, Joshua Israel. And we as a family make up S.F.I.A Foundation Israelite Academy. We're looking for many more others to come and be with us and fellowship with us to discover this truth and teach many more. But on today, we want to talk about hell. I want to go into hell, go a little bit deeper into hell. H-E-L-L, H-E-double-I distinct, hell. Is there a hell in the earth? Now, I've done this video, but I'm going to do a golden lesson on today. Is there a hell in the earth?
In St. John chapter 8, verse 32.
Come.
And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
So this is what Yahweh told his disciples. He said, and ye shall what?
And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
So we're going to discover the truth today in order for a lot of you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to be free. To be free from what? To be free from bondage and sin. To be free from bondage and sin. To be free from false philosophy. To be free from lies, falsehood, and deceit. To be free from the philosophies of these religious institutions that you have taken upon. To be free of that. And read up loud for the camera.
Psalms chapter 85 and verse 11.
Go on.
Truth shall spring out of the earth.
What it say?
Truth shall spring out of the earth.
It said truth shall spring out of the earth. That's it. Come on.
And righteousness shall look down from heaven.
So truth shall spring out of the earth in what days? In the last days. Truth is going to spring out of the earth because for long periods of time, the truth have been submerged in the earth. The truth have been buried in the earth. But in the last days, the Bible said that truth is going to spring out the earth. So we're going to give you truth on hell so you can stop believing in a mythological place. There ain't no such thing as that. Now, when you look at hell, when you go into hell, hell has more than just one perspective. Even though we're not going to refute that hell is not in the Bible, hell is in the Bible. Actually, hell is in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament and in the Apocrypha. But hell is not one perspective. Hell has more than just one perspective. Hell has many perspectives. And we're going to show you the perspectives of hell close up so you can see. Malachi is going to help me out a little bit. He's going to operate the camera while I write down many perspectives of hell. All right? So I'm going to start with, okay, let's say, all right, perspectives, okay? Perspectives are what? Perspectives are hell. Perspectives of hell. You got that on the camera, Op? Perspectives of hell. Okay. Now the perspectives of hell is listed in the Old Testament. It's listed in the Old Testament. Okay. The Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old and New Testament. You're going to find hell in both testaments, the Old and the New Testament, perspectives of hell. Hell has many perspectives. How many perspectives does hell have? Okay. In all, hell has 8 perspectives. See that? Perspectives of hell. Hell has 8 perspectives. There's 8 perspectives of hell. So what's the first perspective of hell, brothers and sisters? Number one, the first perspective, you have hell as the grave. Now give me Psalms 6 and 5. You have hell as the perspective of grave. So we're going to write hell here. You can see that. Hell, this, and I'm going to write OT by the side of it to let you see where it's talking about. Anytime you come across hell in the Old Testament, most likely hell is as grave in the Old Testament. Hell in the Old Testament is Sheol, as you can see right there. Hell is Sheol. Sheol in the Old Testament, which means grave. Okay? And we're going to bring that out. Read Psalm 6 and 5, just to give them an example. Read Psalm 6 and 5, Jay.
Psalms chapter 6 and verse 5.
All right, read that.
For in death there is no remembrance of thee. In the grave, who shall give thee thanks?
And the what? So read it again.
Psalms chapter 6 and verse 5.
Uh-huh, come on.
For in death there is no remembrance of thee.
So in death, there's no remembrance, come on.
In the grave.
In the what?
In the grave.
In the grave, come on.
Who shall give thee thanks?
All right, now back to the drawing board, if you don't mind. So you can see right there, this is in Psalms 6 and 5. So we'll put PSA chapter 6, verse 5. And it mentions grave. But when you go into grave, all right, it says Sheol. Okay, so if you're talking about hell in the Old Testament, hell is in reference to grave. Now I know it didn't say hell there in Psalm 6 and 5, but we're going to show you one where it does say hell. If you don't believe hell is Sheol, which means the grave. So watch this. I want you to go to Psalm 16 and 10. So we still on grave. We still on the first perspective because there's 8 perspectives of hell. So I want you to go to Psalm 16 and 10. Go to Psalm 16 and 10. And read Psalm 16 and 10. So now, brothers and sisters, dealing with hell, he's going to read Psalms 16, verse 10. Dealing with hell. Go ahead in the Old Testament. OT, the Old Testament. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 16 and verse 10.
Uh-huh.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
What did David say?
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
Because David was prophesied in the spirit as him being Yahushua. For thou wilt not leave my soul in what?
In hell.
Go ahead.
Neither will thou suffer thine holy one to see corruption.
So go back to the drawing board up. So you can see right here in Psalms 16 and 10, David made a statement that the Most High, he prophesied himself in the spirit as Yahushua, said that the Most High wouldn't leave his soul in hell. Okay? When you go into hell, right here, when you go into hell, it takes you back to Sheol, which simply means what? Which simply means the grave, man. So when you come across hell in the Old Testament, it's just talking about simply grave. So if somebody tell you to go to hell, dealing with the first perspective, then guess what? Eventually, we all go to hell because we all return to the grave. See? We all go to hell. The first perspective of hell being the grave, that means that we all go to hell, right? So we showed you, even if you didn't believe in Psalm 6 and 5, that the grave was talking about hell, we showed you in Psalm 16:10, hell literally we showed you. If you go into the concordance of Psalm 16 and 10, you go into the concordance number, it's going to take you to, get you a strong concordance, a Hebrew strong concordance. And go into the concordance number, it would take you to Sheol, which means the grave. So Psalm 16 and 10 simply spoke of hell, right here, hell. That's the first perspective. Now, what about if you go to the New Testament? Okay, so let's say you go to the New Testament. See, right here on the side. OT, Old Testament, NT, New Testament. Let's say you go to the New Testament. Now we're going to bring out the same thing. Go to Acts 2 and 31 in the New Testament. Because we're going to show you that there is actually no hell that you go and you die and burn in. Okay? So bring out Acts 2 and 31. This is the same thing mentioned in Acts, the 2nd chapter and the 31st verse. Okay? Because this was future prophecy that fulfilled itself, because David spoke of, thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, meaning that he spoke of Yahushua in the spirit that Yahweh's body, his body wasn't left in hell after he was crucified. Read Acts 2 and 31. Go ahead.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 31.
Uh-huh.
He saying this before spake of the resurrection of Christ.
See, so they talking about David, how he spoke of the resurrection of Christ. Where he spoke of the resurrection of Christ at? We brought that out. That was in Psalm 16:10. Go ahead.
That his soul was not left in hell.
That his soul was not left in what?
Left in hell.
So it mentions in Acts 2 and 31 that David made a statement when he prophesied himself as Christ in the spirit that his soul would not be left in hell. So we showed you in Psalm 16:10 that it was talking about in Psalm 16:10 hell as Sheol, which means the grave. But in Acts 2 and 31, it mentions what? It mentions hell right here. Go ahead, read it again.
Acts chapter 2 and verse 31.
Uh-huh.
He seen this before spake of the resurrection of Christ.
That's what David said. Come on.
That his soul was not left in hell.
That his soul was not left in what?
In hell.
That his soul was not left in what?
In hell.
So that's the New Testament. We know the New Testament was written in Greek, right? Go back to the drawing board up. Okay. So you can see concerning the New Testament, you can see right here in Acts 2 and 31, even if in the Old Testament it mentions hell in Psalm 16:10 as Sheol, meaning the grave. But what about in the New Testament when it mentions hell in Acts 2 and 31? When it mentions hell in Acts 2 and 31. Hell right here, if you go into the Greek dictionary, you know what hell is? Hell right there is classified as Hades. Hades. It's classified as Hades. Now what is Hades? Hades is the same thing for the grave, okay? Hades is the same thing for the grave. So just like you say grave in Hebrew as Sheol, which means hell, grave in the New Testament as hell mean Hades. So both of these refer to the same thing. Hell in the Old Testament is Sheol, which means take you back to grave. And hell in the New Testament is what? Hades, which takes you back to grave. See that? So Sheol means the grave and Hades means the grave. So as far as we know right now, we know that we don't see one perspective of hell. And when you come across hell in the Old Testament, it's talking about the grave. But if you come across hell in the New Testament, it's talking about Hades, which goes back to the grave. So back to the drawing board up. So y'all got the first perspective of hell, meaning the grave. Let's go to the second perspective, okay? This is the second perspective. Perspective 2. Perspective 2. Okay, now, hell in perspective 2 is mentioned as the heathen, all right? The heathen. The heathen. Or you can call them Gentiles. Hell is also referred to the heathen and Gentiles. Now, who are the heathen? Who are the Gentiles? They are not people that are Israelites. So if you're not a black, Hispanic, or Native American, you are a heathen by default. Now, who are heathens? What examples are heathens? Okay. Now, okay. As you can see right here, the table of nations down here. See that? From 2 to 18, these are heathens. From 2 to 18, these heathenistic nations are also known as what you would call hell. They are known as hell. And I'm going to show you in the scriptures. These heathens, people that are not Israelites, they are known as hell. This is the second perspective, okay? Are the heathen being classified as hell? So-called white man, which is number 2. The Indians, the East Indians, Elam, and going all the way down, Chinese, Arabs, Africans, all those Gentile heathenistic nations are known as hell, and that's perspective 2. So, back to the drawing board. I'm going to have Brother Malachi to just kind of follow me on the drawing board once again as I break this down. Just follow me on the drawing board. Let's get it right. Follow me on the drawing board if y'all can see that. If y'all can see it, I pray y'all can see it. Now, Jay, what I want you to do to prove that heathens are Gentiles, I want you to go to Psalms 18 and 3. Now go to Psalm 18 and 3.
Psalms chapter 18 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
I will call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised.
That's what David said. And we're going to show you that David classified the heathens as hell. He said he would what?
I will call upon the Lord is worthy to be praised.
Okay, go on down and read.
So shall I be saved from my enemies.
David said, so shall I be saved from who?
From my enemies.
So keep that in mind. David said, so shall I be saved from my enemies, right? When you go in Psalms, the 83rd chapter, it tells you who our enemies are. Now, we know as blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans, we know we are the chosen seed. We the Israelite. But if you go in Psalms 83, it tells you that all these heathenistic nations that came against Israel, that came against the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So in Psalms 83, if you don't know who the enemies are, go in Psalms 83 and read and see who these enemies are. Okay? They are modern day white people as Edomites, modern day Chinese as Moabites, Japanese as Ammonites, you know, Ethiopians, modern day Africans and so forth. All those enemies in Psalm 83. We're not going to go in Psalm 83. But you need to go in there on your free time to see who our enemies is. All right? Because we are the Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So it say what?
Psalms chapter 18 and verse 3.
Go ahead.
I will call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised.
Go ahead.
So shall I be saved from my enemies.
So I will be saved from my enemies. Keep enemies in mind. Read on.
Psalms chapter 18 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
The sorrows of death compass me.
What did David say?
The sorrows of death compass me.
So David said the sorrows of death can pass them. Now why would he just go into saying the sorrows of death can pass them? Because he's talking about death in the reference to his enemies. The heathens is known as death too. Go ahead.
The sorrows of death compass me.
Come on.
And the floods of ungodly man made me afraid.
Now who is ungodly man? The heathen. He said the floods of ungodly man made him afraid. Now who is ungodly man? Men that were not given the law, statutes, and commandments of God. We as the nation of Israel are not ungodly men. Why? Because the Most High established a law in Israel. He gave us blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the law, statutes, and the commandments. He gave us the oracles. So we're not known as ungodly man. But by default, the heathens is ungodly man because the Most High never gave the heathens no instructions, no commandments. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 18 and verse 5.
Now listen what else David classified his enemies as. Go ahead.
The sorrows of hell.
He said what?
The sorrows of hell.
The sorrows of hell did what?
Compass me about.
The sorrows of hell can pass David. So he related his enemies to the sorrows of hell. Go ahead.
Compass me about.
Uh-huh.
The snares of death prevented me.
The snares of death prevented him. So as you can see right here in Psalms, the 18th chapter, dealing with verses 3 going on down, David referred his enemies to what? Go back to the drawing board out, if you will, if you don't mind. David referred his enemies as the heathens because those are the enemies. Those are the enemies. I don't know if I'm spelling that right. Those are the enemies of Israel. David classified his enemies as the key point. He said, the sorrows of hell. He said the sorrows of hell can pass it. Now where can this be found? Over here in the Old Testament. This can be found in Psalms, the 18th chapter, beginning with the 3rd verse and reading down through the 6th verse. Psalms 18, beginning with the 3rd verse, reading down through the 6th verse. In the Old Testament, David referred his enemies, which is Gentiles and heathens, to the sorrows of hell. So you can see the second perspective of hell is talking about what? The second perspective of hell is talking about your enemies, Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as Israel, your enemies relating to the sorrows of hell. Okay? So to be among your enemies, to be among the heathens, is to be among the sorrows of hell. I'm giving you all the perspectives. And I'm going to just show you another cross-reference. I'm going to show you another cross-reference. I'm going to show you another cross-reference. So now give me Deuteronomy. Give me Deuteronomy out.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 27.
Go ahead.
And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
This is the future prophecy that took place. Because Israel wasn't among all nations in the beginning of time. But he said that he would scatter us among the nations for disobedience. Go ahead.
And ye shall be left few in number among the heathen.
Among the what?
Among the heathen.
So when the Most High scattered the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out as us being the nation of Israel, when he set us among the heathen, guess what he did? He set us among the sorrows of hell, man. That's what David brought out. In Psalms the 18th chapter, beginning with verse 3, David referred his enemies to the sorrows of hell. So when the Most High scattered us dealing with Deuteronomy 4:27, when he scattered us among the heathen, guess what he scatters us among? The sorrows of hell, man. As you can see that. Give me Ezekiel 36, Ezekiel 36 and 20. Watch this.
Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 20.
Come on.
And when they entered unto the heathen.
And when Israel did what?
And when they entered unto the heathen.
Go ahead.
Whither they went, they profaned my holy name.
You know why we profane the Most High holy name? Because we were scattered among the sorrows of hell. Go ahead. That's it.
When they said to them, these are the people of the Lord. And are gone forth out of his land.
Okay, that's it. Give me Ezekiel 39:27. Come on, Op.
Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 27.
Read it.
When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies' land.
See, the Most High say that he gonna gather us out of what?
Out of the enemy's land.
And what David referred to our enemies being in Psalms the 18th chapter verse 3. He referred our enemies as being the sorrows of hell. So read that again. This is futuristic prophecy that's gonna take place. Come on.
Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 27.
Come on.
When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their
The Most High say he gonna gather us. Come on.
Gathered them out of their enemies' land.
Out of their what?
Out of their enemies' land.
So yeah, we gonna get out of hell. But we still in hell right now because we're among these stinking heathens. To be among these unrighteous heathens is to be in the sorrows of hell, like David stated. So that's enough said on that one, man. We don't showed you many takes. That's what we're trying to break down to you, whether you perceive it, whether you believe it or not, man. Okay? So the sorrows of hell is known as being among the heathen, man. We showed you that in so many takes. If y'all not writing these verses down, I don't know what to say. Moving on to the third perspective. Okay, moving on to the third perspective. This is the third perspective. We went over the first perspective as being hell as the grave. The second perspective is being hell as being among the heathens, which are called the sorrows of hell. The third perspective, brothers and sisters, that we're going to look at now is being in bad conditions. So, bad conditions. Bad conditions. Bad conditions is known as hell as well. So when you're talking about hell in general, you need to ask, if somebody mentioning hell in general, you need to ask that particular person, what hell are you talking about? Because there's many perspectives of hell, and in fact, it's 8. So we don't went over the first 2. Now we're on the third one being bad conditions. Give me Jonah 2 and 2. Come on. So we're going into the Old Testament, and we're going to read Jonah chapter 2, and we'll begin with verse 2 to show you that hell also means bad conditions. All right, go ahead, Op.
Jonah chapter 2 and verse 2.
Come on. Matter of fact, read Jonah 2 and 1 first.
Jonah chapter 2 and verse 1. Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly.
Yeah, because the Most High allowed a giant fish to swallow up Jonah because Jonah was being disobedient. Jonah didn't want to do the Most High's will because he tried to flee from the Most High, tried to go to Tarshish, which is modern-day Spain. So Jonah tried to run from the Most High and try to sneak out on a ship. All right? But eventually, you know the story about Jonah, brothers and sisters. Eventually, Jonah ends up telling the captain to throw him overboard. Once he was thrown overboard into the water, guess what happened to him? A giant fish swallowed him up. He was in that fish belly 3 days and 3 nights. And I'm going to show you to be in any fish belly for 3 days and 3 nights is to be in a bad condition in the earth. So read Jonah 2 and 1, come on.
Jonah chapter 2 and verse 1.
Now keep in mind, we're on the third perspective of hell, which means a bad condition. Go ahead.
Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly.
Out of the what?
Out of the fish's belly.
Now tell me if that's a good situation or that's a bad situation. That ain't no good situation when you're in a fish belly for 3 days and 3 nights. You can't eat, you can't drink, or last but not least, you probably ain't sleeping good as well. So he prayed out of that fish belly, come on.
Jonah chapter 2 and verse 2. And said, I cried by reason of my affliction.
Jonah said he did what?
I cried by reason of my affliction.
Jonah said he cried because the reason why he cried, because he was being afflicted. Now what is affliction? Is affliction happiness? Is affliction joy? Or is affliction sadness and pain? Go ahead, by the reason of his pain. Now, what was the reason of Jonah's affliction? The reason why Jonah was afflicted, because he tried to run from the Most High after the Most High had given him orders to go to Nineveh to tell those people to repent. So the reason of his affliction was disobedience. And he said he cried. Read on.
And said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord.
Yep, come on.
And he heard me.
Yep, come on.
Out of the belly of hell.
Out of the what?
Out of the belly of hell.
So what's flames burning in the fish stomach? Because the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity is going to tell you if you're bad, you're going to hell. So when Jonah was in the fish stomach, was Jonah burning? Was it hot flames in the fish belly? Was it lava bubbling in the fish belly? Jonah's out of the belly of what?
Out of the belly of hell.
See it for yourself, brothers and sisters. That's Jonah 2:2. He called that fish belly hell. Why? Because he was being afflicted. Because hell means a bad condition. That's what it means. Hell, to be in hell, is to be in a bad condition. This on the perspective 3. So, back to the drawing board. To be in hell is to be in a bad condition. To be in hell is to be in a bad condition. See that? Okay, Jonah 2:2. Now, guess where we're going to? We're going to the 3 holy children in the Apocrypha. We're going to, this is the Apocrypha book. The Apocrypha was taking out the Bible in the 1800s. They were taking out the Bible in the 1800s by the Roman Catholic Protestants. Had these 14 books removed. Out of these 14 books, we're going to go into the 3 holy children dealing with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they was in a fiery furnace because they chose to disobey the orders of the king. The King Nebuchadnezzar had these 3 boys thrown in a fiery furnace. Now, if you're in a damn fiery furnace, there's not nothing happy about that. That's a bad condition as well. So now, we're going to the 3 holy children. That's what 3HC stands for. The 3 holy children in the Apocrypha. Give me 3 holy children, chapter 1 in the Apocrypha. We're going to show you that hell also means a bad condition. All right? This is talking about, actually this is talking about, when you read about Daniel, in the book of Daniel, when you read in the 3rd chapter of Daniel, I believe, it speaks about the 3 Hebrew boys from the tribe of Judah in the 3rd chapter of Daniel being thrown in the fiery furnace. All right? This is another reason they took the Apocryphal books out of the Bible. And the reason why I say that is because when you're in the 3rd chapter of Daniel, when you get to Daniel chapter 3, verse 23 picks off with the 3 holy children, which is in the Apocryphal books. So, Daniel 3 and 23, the 23rd verse of Daniel chapter 3, the rest of that is in the 3 holy children. The Roman Catholic Protestants removed this out the Bible because you know why? Because it spoke about hell being on the earth and not under the earth. We know that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown in the fiery furnace. So we got to go into the same book that was taken out after Daniel 3 and 23 to show you that. Let's see what they called this furnace that they was thrown in by King Nebuchadnezzar. So 3 holy children, chapter 1, verse 66, back in the Apocrypha. Come on.
The 3 holy children, chapter 1 and verse 66.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, all them Jews, the 3 holy children. Black man, black Jews, come on.
Oh, Ananias.
Ananias, a Jew, come on.
Azarias.
Jew, come on.
And Mishael.
Jew, all 3 of them are Jews, black Jews, come on.
Bless ye the Lord.
Because they was blessing the Most High, because he protected them from those fiery flames in that furnace. Let's see what they call that furnace, come on.
The Lord praise and exalt him above all.
Go up, come on.
Forever. For he hath delivered us from hell.
He delivered us from what?
From hell.
Was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego dead? Because that's what Roman Catholicism and the Christian church push. They push, after you die, you suffer such of a place. After you die, after it's all over, you go to a mythological subterranean region to burn eternally. So, make your damn mind up, Roman Catholic Church and Christianity. Is hell on earth or is hell under the earth? Because according to the 3 holy children, 1 and 66, it says that these 3 Hebrew boys, they said he had delivered us from what?
From hell.
So they related that fiery furnace of Nebuchadnezzar to hell. You know why? Because they was in a bad condition. To be in a bad condition is to be in hell. Jonah was in a bad condition in the well belly. He said, out of the belly of hell he cried. Go ahead, read on.
The 3 holy children, chapter 1 and verse 66.
Come on.
And saved us from the hand of death.
So he delivered us from hell and what?
And saved us from the hand of death.
So you can stop right there. Now you can see exactly why the Roman Catholic Church removed the apocryphal books out of the Bible, because it spoke of, in the three holy children, chapter 1, verse 66, it spoke about hell. It spoke about hell being on the earth as a bad condition. Y'all see that? Let's move to perspective 4. Now we on the fourth perspective. The fourth perspective dealing with hell. Y'all gonna get it today. We on the fourth perspective dealing with hell. The fourth perspective dealing with hell is in, that's kind of down here. The fourth perspective dealing with hell is, I'm gonna put NT on the side. It's in the New Testament. The New Testament speak about the fourth perspective. What is the fourth perspective of hell? Give me Matthew 23 and 33. So we're going to, in the New Testament, we're dealing with the fourth perspective of hell as being what you would call Gehenna. Gehenna. Gehenna as being hell. And we're going to, we're going in the New Testament, and we're going to Matthew and 23:33. Yep. So that's okay. Matthew 23:33. And let's see what Christ spoke about hell in the New Testament. Now this is the fourth perspective. It's 8 in all. Come on, so we got 4 more to go. But we're on the fourth one now, dealing with Gehenna as hell in the New Testament. Read that, come on.
Matthew chapter 23 and verse 33.
Go ahead.
Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers.
Christ is referring to the Pharisees, the leaders of the Jews, which was they was crook. Go ahead, he called them serpents and vipers because they weren't living up to what they was teaching. Like these crooked ass pastors today. The reincarnated, the same people on the earth, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. It's the modern day pastors. Come on. He called them it's serpents and vipers. Go ahead.
Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers.
Uh-huh.
How can ye escape the damnation of hell?
What did Christ say?
How can ye escape the damnation of hell?
How can ye escape the damnation of hell? Now, what's this hell referring to? Roman Catholicism and Christianity. What's this hell right here referring to? A dark, deep dungeon where you have multiple individuals screaming to the top of their lungs and eternally just burning and being tormented in excruciating pain. Is it talking about that, man? It's not talking about that. When Christ referred hell, you got to understand in his time, what was he teaching? Because the New Testament was not in his time. The New Testament was not in Christ's time. So where did he get this hell from? He got it from the Old Testament, because the only books that Christ studied in his time was the Tanakh, which is what they would call the 39 books of the Old Testament, and the apocryphal books. So that's going to give you a key point. That hell is not talking about Roman Catholicism doctrine and the doctrine Christianity pushes. All right? Read it one more time.
Matthew chapter 23 and verse 33.
Uh-huh, come on.
Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers.
Uh-huh.
How can ye escape the damnation of hell?
He said, how can you escape the damnation of hell? How can you escape the damnation of hell? All right, so back to the drawing board. We examine Matthew 23:33, and it talks about the damnation of hell. When you go into the Strong Concordance, hell in the Greek, because the New Testament was written in Greek. So when you go into hell, what Christ stated in Matthew 23:33, that would be G 1067, right? That would be G 1067. That's G 1067. G 1067 in the Greek concordance. And when you go in there, guess what it says? It says Gehenna. Gehenna. Now what is Gehenna? Look it up for yourselves, brothers and sisters. Gehenna is simply a place of future destruction. It says, on blue letter, it says a place of future destruction, or a place of future punishment. Now, Gehenna also goes back to the Valley of Hinnom. Okay? Now, it also goes back to the Valley of Hinnom. Now, where is the Valley of Hinnom? The Valley of Hinnom before the time Christ was born, was known as the Valley of Ben Hinnom. Now what is that? That was a valley that the wicked Israelites sacrificed their children in to the wicked Moabite god Molech. They were offered, the wicked Israelites in the time of Jeremiah, they were offered their sons and daughters up as of a human sacrifice to this Moabite god Molech, and caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire. So when Christ spoke about hell in the New Testament, it takes you back to the Greek Gehenna, Greek 1067, which is the Valley of Hinnom in Jeremiah's time. Christ used that same valley as a symbolism of future destruction. But in Christ's time, it was no longer called the Valley of Sacrifice or the Valley of Hinnom. It was a modern-day Cummins Jerusalem garbage dump in his time. So when he referred to hell, he referred to Gehenna, which takes you to the Valley of Hinnom. Now let's go back into the history and see what they did in the Valley of Hinnom and why Christ used that valley as a symbolism to futuristic nuclear destruction.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 31.
Uh-huh.
And they have built the high places of Tophet.
When it said they, it's talking about the wicked children of Israel. Many of us wicked today. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you wicked as hell. Many of you still breaking the commandments of the Most High God, and many of you still offering your sons and daughters up as child sacrifice today. If you don't believe it, they call it abortion. So you're still doing it. But back then, they were literally causing their sons and daughters to pass through the fire to this wicked god Molech. We're going to give you the history. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 31.
Uh-huh.
And they have built the high places of Tophet.
Uh-huh.
Which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom.
Okay. Now, in the valley of the what?
In the valley of the son of Hinnom.
Now read it from the top again. Jeremiah 7 and 31. Come on.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 31.
Come on.
And they have built the high places of Tophet.
They built the high places of Tophet. Tophet means drums. Because they were, as they called their sons and daughters to pass through the fire, they would bang on these loud drums to drown out the cries of the little girls and boys as they was being incinerated. Go ahead. They built the high places of what?
They built the high places of Tophet.
Read on.
Which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom.
Which is in the what?
Which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom.
The valley of the son of Hinnom. That's the same valley that Christ talked about in Matthew 23:33. He referred that valley to the damnation of hell. So when you look up hell in 23:33 that Christ spoke, it goes back to Gehenna, which goes back to this valley right here in Jeremiah 7 and 31. Let's see what they were doing in that valley. And let's see why Christ used that valley as a representation of futuristic punishment. Come on.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 31.
Uh-huh.
Which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom.
Go ahead.
To burn their sons and daughters.
What was the wicked Israelites doing?
Burn their sons and daughters.
What was you wicked blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans doing back in the days of Jeremiah?
Burn their sons and daughters.
You were burning your sons and your daughters. You were causing your sons and your daughters to be burned alive. Come on.
And to burn their sons and daughters in the fire.
In the what?
In the fire.
So when Christ spoke about Gehenna in Matthew 23:33, when he spoke about hell, how can you escape the damnation of hell? Why would he use this valley as a symbolization of futuristic punishment? Because back in the time of Jeremiah, they were burning their sons and daughters in the fire. And he used that valley as a futuristic destruction, because he know in the time to come, a lot of you wicked Israelites, like you was burning your sons and daughters in Jeremiah's time, you're going to get burned by thermonuclear destruction. The same fate going to happen to you wicked blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You're going to get burned by thermonuclear destruction in a third world war to come, prophesied in the Bible. All right? So that's why Christ said in Matthew 23:33, how you are to escape the damnation of hell. He's not talking about Roman Catholicism or this Christianity BS. He's talking about hell as being referred to Gehenna, which takes you back to Jeremiah 7:31, and they call it the Valley of Hinnom. And the children of Israel during that time were doing what?
To burn their sons and daughters in the fire.
Uh-huh.
Which I commanded them not.
Which the Most High told them not to break the commandments. Go ahead.
Neither came it into my heart.
It it never came into my heart for you to offer your children up as child sacrifice to this wicked ass god Molech. And Molech is a modern day Chinese god, man. Modern day Molech would be damn Buddha in China, man. So you can see when Christ referred to this valley as the valley of Hinnom, which he said in Greek Gehenna, that was the same valley the Israelites were burning their sons and daughters in. But in the time of Christ, guess what it had became? A common garbage dump of Jerusalem, where they would empty out garbage and they would keep the garbage burning by using sulfur and brimstone. And he referred the valley to futuristic judgment. Futuristic judgment, man. All right, go back here up to the drawing board. So in Matthew 23:33, when Christ did speak of Matthew 23:33, when he said, how you Pharisees and whatnot are to escape the damnation of hell, he was speaking really about Gehenna, which is G1067, which takes you to Gehenna, which is the valley of Hinnom, and they give you the history like we just gave you the history. So the fourth perspective of hell is known as the valley of Hinnom, which Christ used as a futuristic symbol of destruction. And what is that? That futuristic symbol of destruction that Christ used, the valley of Hinnom, is what you would call World War III. World War III, thermonuclear destruction. The fourth perspective of hell. The fifth perspective of hell. I'm trying to speed up, y'all. The fifth perspective of hell. The fifth perspective of hell goes back to, we really don't need to break this down, because it goes back to Hades. I want y'all to see this. Hades. Hades is found also in the New Testament. It goes back to Hades. And give me Luke 16 and 23. Give me Luke 16:23.
Luke chapter 16 and verse 23.
Come on.
And in hell he lifts up his eyes.
It's talking about the rich man, because Christ spoke of a parable of the rich man and the poor man. Saying, and the rich man eventually what?
And in hell he lifts up his eyes.
And in hell he lifted his eyes. That's Luke 16 and what I said, 23. When you go into that in Luke 16:23, when you go into hell there, it's going to take you to G86. Hades, that's what it's going to take you to. Because in Luke 16:23, it's going to take you to G86 in the in the Greek concordance. G86 in the Greek concordance is referred to as Hades. Now what is Hades? Hades is the same as you would say Sheol in the Hebrew, which takes you back to grave. So all it's saying, you know, because we stick in the first fold, it's many folds of that. But all it's saying in Luke 16:23, the rich man lifted his eyes up in hell, meaning in the grave. Now there's many takes on this, but I'm not going to give you the many takes on it. But we're just dealing with this in common breakdown. Okay? So in hell, he lifts the eye. You go into hell, it says Hades, takes you back to the grave. All right? Now, let's go on to the sixth perspective. The sixth perspective. Y'all see that? So now we're down to the sixth perspective of hell. What is the sixth perspective of hell? Trials. Tribulations. All right? Trials and tribulations upon on us on the earth. Trials and tribulations is the sixth perspective of what they would call hell. So far, we don't been over hell, and we don't been over fifth perspectives of hell. Hell being, in the Old Testament, Sheol, which means grave. Hell also relating to the New Testament as what? Hades, which takes you back to the grave. Hell relating to the heathen, which is 2. In the Gentiles, the sorrows of hell relating to your enemies. Number 3, the hell relating to bad conditions on the earth. Number 4, hell relating to a futuristic symbolization of punishment that Christ used as the valley of Hinnom that leads to World War III. And then we also went over the fifth perspective of hell leading to Hades, back in the New Testament, back to grave. And now we're on the sixth perspective. Hell dealing with what? Trials and tribulations. Hell is dealing with trials and tribulations. Now, if you are on the earth and you're going through diverse trials and tribulations, You are going through hell. How do we know that? We're going to show you dealing with the 6th perspective out of the 8 perspectives of hell. The 6th perspective is trials and tribulations. We're going to show you. Now, give me Psalms 116. Start with verse 3.
Psalms chapter 116 and verse 3.
Come on.
The sorrows of death compass me.
The sorrows of death compass me. Let's see what he said. Come on.
And the pains of hell got hold upon me.
What did David say?
And the pains of hell got hold upon me.
Why he said pains of hell? Why he said pains of hell? This man made this statement while he was alive. He didn't die and then went into the subterranean region, went into a dumb, deep-ass dungeon in the earth. He didn't die and go down there and start burning and seeing little demons, poking you with a pitchfork, jumping around little imps with devil horns and a tail. He said this while he was on the earth. Read it one more time, huh?
Psalms chapter 116 and verse 3.
Come on.
The sorrows of death compass me.
The sorrows of death can pass them. Come on.
And the pains of hell got hold upon me.
Now what is pains of hell? He said the pains of what got hold upon it?
The pains of hell.
Are you talking about flames burning them on each side? Are you talking about demons sticking them with pitchforks? Are you talking about demons tormenting you by nibbling on your penis down in hell? Because that's what them Chinese people believe. They've been so damn indoctrinized too. They got that democracy all the way across the water, man. These Chinese Christians believing in hell as doggone different levels of hell, and demons just torment you in sexual ways, sticking poles in your butthole and pulling them in and out. You know what I'm saying? Sticking poles up a woman's vagina, just poking them in and out. You know, they got doggone just chopping out women's titties, demons down there doing all this sexual, off the wall type of stuff, man. Is that in the scriptures, man? Hell is on the earth. Hell is here. If you on the earth, you fail because you've been incarnated and start over again. And this is for the believers in reincarnation, or what you would call regeneration. If you don't believe in reincarnation or regeneration, it's not going to make sense to you. You can cut the video off right now. Because in order to understand that hell is a place of excruciating pain, you must understand regeneration and reincarnation. So if you're still believing in an everlasting hell, this ain't for you, man. This is for the elect of the nation of Israel. Read it once more again.
Psalms chapter 116, verse 3.
Let's see what David said.
The sorrows of death compass me.
While he was alive, not when he was dead. Come on.
And the pains of hell got hold upon me.
The pains of hell got hold upon me. The pains of hell get upon each and every one of us. That's the nation of Israel. When the heathen afflict us, that's pains of hell. Not just that. What is pains of hell that is happening on the earth? Misery, death, torment, affliction, sufferings, hardship, troubles, illness, burdens, plagues, curses, infirmities, scourges, misfortune, adversity, calamities, AIDS, incarceration, abortion, crime, diabetes, poverty, drugs, miseducation, misinformation, high blood pressure, oppression, homosexuality. How much can I go on, man? It's hell down here. This is hell right now. This is where hell at. But you've been led to believe that it's someone else. Come on, man. It's sickness, death, and destruction down here. This is hell. Read it one more time.
Psalms chapter 116 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
The sorrows of death compass me.
Go ahead.
And the pains of hell got hold upon
The
me.
pains of hell got hold upon. The pains of hell is on each and every last one of us. We going through something on this earth. We going through all kind of diverse trials and tribulations. We going through it now on this earth. That's it. Come on.
Trouble and I found trouble and sorrow.
And I found what?
Trouble and sorrow.
Yeah, when you can't get enough money to pay your bills. When you've been evicted out your house. When you don't have enough money to get food for your family. When you got dysfunctional families. When you got single mothers, single fathers. When you got the kids that's been evicted. You got your kids. De facto got your kids. And all this other crap happening on the earth, man. When you don't lost your job, you can't find your way. You struggle from day to day. You're living in low-class environments. You're living in the projects, the hoods, the slums. You can't make ends meet. It just seems like you feel like committing suicide because the burden's so damn heavy, man. It's hell right here. What more place is worse than this? That's what Pac said. Pac said hell is here. Tupac knew that. He said, what place is more worse than this, man? Come on. We're going to show you this, man. What was the main reason to get blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Primarily because we the children of Israel. They want to make sure they indoctrinate us and dupe us and dumb us down. So we was talking about hell deception, and the reason why this deception as hell being an everlasting place of damnation, we going over this. Why? Because you need to understand why this was done. Why the deception was done on the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the children of Israel. So basically the reason why it was done, based on Catholicism, which led to Christianity, and then also Islam teach it, to make hell some distant mythological subterranean region. They want you to believe that hell is distant. They want you to believe that hell is in relation to being on the earth. They want you to believe that hell is in some other dimension outside of time. You know, they want you to believe that, but it's not true. We already have discussed this, that hell is on the earth. We're playing out our judgment on the earth, which is hell. This is hell. And they want you to believe that, but it's not hell. They want you to believe that this is some mythological subterranean region that is far worse than being on the face of the earth, which is this third dimension. Now, this deception was formed so we can stop moving, man. Pay attention. This deception was formed so we can become complacent, satisfied, and comfortable, and making many individuals assimilate to this third dimension realm that's called earth. That's the reason why this was done. The reason why it was done by Roman Catholicism, to get many to believe that there's a distant place that you would pay for your punishment that's outside of this realm. The reason why they wanted you to believe that, so you can become assimilated, so you can become accustomed, so you can become complacent, and so you can become comfortable to this face of the earth. So you wouldn't even realize that you're in hell. Many have been brainwashed and indoctrinated by Roman Catholic dogma. And today we be like, so if that's the case, today we believe that any place is better than hell, not realizing what? Not realizing we are in it. So they say, look, man, any place is better than hell. Well, I don't want to go to hell. Not even knowing that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are in it. And that's the sixth perspective. And what is hell? Earth. To be born in the earth is to be born in hell. The worst thing that can happen to a person is to be born. Why? Because when you are born, that automatically lets you know that you failed. You have been reincarnated to come back down in this hell and pay some debts off that you didn't pay in a former life before this one. So that's the worst thing to happen to a person. It's life, is to be born. That's why in some states, in some regions, they look at birth the same way we look at it, the same way we look at a funeral, man. When a child being born, people crying, they weeping, they in remorse. Why? Because they know from that birth date of that child, that's when hell begins, man. That's when hell begins. So they cry, man. But ignorant blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that don't know what's going on, we rejoicing, throwing baby showers and whatnot, buying gifts and all this madness, when we don't even really know that we should be crying because that child has been sent down to hell. That child has been reincarnated because it didn't overcome some obstacles in his former life. That ain't nothing to be proud about, man. But hell, since we here, we got to make the best of it. What's the best thing can happen to a person? The best thing can happen to a person is death. You know why? Because when you die, that's the ultimate separation of the astrological energy, or some may call it the angelic body, or some may call it the spirit. When you die, that's separation from hell, man. Give me that, give me 1 Corinthians, I believe 1 Corinthians. It's a good thing to die. It's a bad thing to remain and live here. If you're looking forward to overcoming, you know what I'm saying? You trying to overcome, you trying to undo your karma, then you will pray the Most High to extend your life to give you enough of time to undo your karma, to work your karma out, you know, so you can receive a better judgment. And maybe you get the hell up out of here, if you know what I'm saying. So they make it look like death is a bad thing, but death, actually the best thing that happened to a person is death, man. You should celebrate when someone dies. But what we do at the funeral, because we do that out of ignorance, man. When you understand the concept of life and death, when you understand the concept of regeneration, reincarnation, when you understand the concept that you are in hell, you wouldn't cry for your loved ones when they die. You would praise the Most High, because guess what? Death is the total separation of the spirit being released from hell. Watch this.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved.
For we know that our earthly house of this tabernacle. What is the earthly house? What is your earthly house? The earthly house is the body. The body is hell too. We ain't got to that perspective yet. Just hold on. The earthly body. The earthly body. What is that? Your flesh, man. Read it from the top. 2 Corinthians 5 and 1, come on.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle was dissolved.
Word dissolved, meaning your earthly house of this tabernacle is put to death. That's what it means, come on.
We have a building of God, and a house not made with hands.
Now where's the house not made with hands? The fifth dimension, the spirit world, man. That's the house that's not made with hands. The house made with hands is the body, the flesh. This filthy, stinking ass flesh. Because guess what? Your body is your enemy, man. So that's another perspective of hell. Your body. We're going to get into that too. But we're dealing with hell being as earth facing trials and tribulations. Read 2 Corinthians 5 and 2. Come on.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
For in this we groan.
In this we what?
We groan.
Why you groan in your body? Because that goes back to the sixth perspective. Because in the body is where you face trials, tribulation, pain, and sufferings, man. That goes back to the sixth perspective. Where all this being taking place at? On the earth, man. So why would Paul mention about being a person groaning in their body? Because when you groan, it's not anything that's contrary, it's not anything that's in comparison to goodness. It's not anything in comparison to happiness and joy and blissfulness. When you are groaning in your body, you're facing trials, tribulation, pain, sufferings. And all these things that we go through are counted as hell fire. And I'm going to show you that. So read it up.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 2.
Uh-huh.
For in this.
In what?
For in this.
In what?
For in this.
What are you talking about? The body. The body is a shell that houses the spirit. It is nothing good about your body. It's nothing. Point out one good thing about your body that's in comparison with the spirit. Your body hates the spirit. It don't want to see the spirit evolve. It don't want to see the spirit prosper. It don't want to see the spirit elevate. Your body is here to tear your spirit down, to keep your spirit from reaching its total destination. That's what your body is here. That's why many brothers and sisters, that's why we go off all the time. Because we submit to the carnal side. If you're not aware of this, the body will bring your spirit on a subjection, man. Your flesh. That's why we don't supposed to pay no attention to it. Your body is not good at all. Because it detours the spirit within the human, within the man, the woman, and the child. So in your body, you groan. Why you groan in your body? Misery. torment, AIDS, glaucoma, syphilis, sickle cell, leukemia, cancer, asthma, bronchitis, trichinosis, all these different diseases. That's why you're groaning in your body, man. Read it again.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 2.
Come on.
For in this we groan.
Uh-huh.
Earnestly.
Earnestly. Go ahead.
Desiring to be.
Desiring to be clothed. Come on.
Desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven.
So we desire to be in the house which is from heaven. That's the house we look forward to have with this house down here, man. Because this house down here, matter of fact, you in hell on top of hell. Because earth is hell itself, and then you being incarcerated in a carnal body, man. Go ahead.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
If so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked.
Meaning naked is to be found without the law, statutes, and commandments. So that you see right there, I just wanted to point that out, dealing with 2 Corinthians 5 and 2. In this body, dealing with 2 Corinthians 5, verses 1 through 2, he said that we have an earthly house, which is the body, and we have a house that's not made with hands. That's the spirit world, man. That's what the fifth dimension. But he said in this body we groan. Why? Because your body is hell, including the earth. And down here you go through all different type of trials and tribulations. All right? Now moving on. So that's why the Roman Catholic Church decided to dupe us down and give us misinformation, because they didn't want us to realize that we was in such of a bad place. They didn't want us to believe that this place is hell, so we'll automatically believe after they have indoctrinated us, we'll start believing that hell is some distant place and it's totally somewhere else and ain't got a damn thing to do with where we at now. So surely I don't want to go over there, I don't want to go to hell, and then you bouncing around acting a damn fool, not even realizing you in it. That was the main exception of the Roman Catholic Church. All right, y'all understand that? So there was no place under the earth known as hell until Roman Catholicism came into power. There was no place under the earth known as hell, or it was taught to anybody, till the Roman Catholic powers came into existence. And when it did, the Roman Catholics, they used this to scare the people in the time of their power so they can become slaves to the Roman powers of that day. That's what they did then. Hell as eternal damnation is not mentioned in the Old Testament. Don't know if you knew that. You got 39 books in the Old Testament, from Genesis to Malachi, and not one prophet spoke about eternal damnation. Show it to me. Show it to me. Show me where one prophet in the 39 books of the Old Testament spoke about eternal damnation. It's not in there. So it seems as though they were talking about something else. No one talked about eternal damnation in the scriptures. But if you still want to believe a place such as hell, we're going to show you it's not in the Bible. Even though the Bible mentions hell, hell ain't in there. Right? Now watch this. Many of you don't believe this neither. How come the disciples never spoke about eternal damnation? How come the 12 disciples of Christ never spoke about eternal damnation? How come they never spoke about it? You know Apostle Paul that wrote 75% of the New Testament? None of his epistles talk about eternal damnation. You can't find Paul one time in the Bible preaching on eternal damnation. It's not in there. You got the book of Acts that deals with the actions of the disciples after Christ died. The actions that they did in Christ's name. Nowhere in the book of Acts the disciples went out teaching and preaching eternal damnation. So, it seems the only person that talked about it was Christ himself. You can't go to the book of Revelation and say it speaks about eternal damnation, because it's not in there. You know what Revelation speaks of? You know what Revelation speaks of as eternal damnation? It don't speak about eternal damnation. It does speak about damnation but it doesn't speak about eternal damnation. But when you read Revelation and you see the lake of fire in Revelation, it speaks of thermonuclear destruction. See, that's not in the Bible. So what hell Christ talked about? What the hell did Christ speak about? The only hell that came out of Christ's mouth was referring to Gehenna. We showed you that. And Gehenna is going straight back to Jeremiah's time, where they used that valley as a valley of sacrifice. Why? Because the Israelites were burning their sons and daughters to the wicked god Molech. They was causing their sons and daughters to perish to the fire. So if you want to use that, you can say Christ used that valley as a representation to hell, which refers to a future punishment to come. And what is that? See, when Christ was on the earth, Christ knew about World War III coming. How you know that? Because the New Testament was not in Christ's time. So how in the hell he knew about World War III when the book of Revelation speaks about World War III? What you fail to realize, that Zechariah 14 speak about World War III. See, that's what Christ came up. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you what Christ came across. Give me Zechariah 14:12. Watch this. See, this is the books Christ studied in his time. Christ never talked about no damn eternal damnation. Don't you know Christ went to hell himself? Christ went to hell himself. But was he burning? No, because hell simply means the grave. I told you there's many perspectives of it. All right? That was the spirit. That was the spirit. Give me Zechariah 14:12. Read that.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12.
See, this was already established in Christ's time. And when Christ went in here, this is what he studied about. Watch this.
And this shall be the plague.
Christ knew it was plagues that was going to come in a futuristic time. If not his time, a futuristic time after that. Go ahead.
Wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem.
See, Christ knew, Yahweh knew that all these heathens were going to be judged for the atrocities against the nation of Israel. Go ahead.
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet.
What was written in Christ's time?
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet.
What did Christ study?
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet.
So Christ knew about a futuristic prophecy to come, about somebody's flesh consuming away from all their bones. He already knew that. So when Christ spoke of hellfire, he was not speaking what Catholic, Roman Catholicism, and Christianity teaching today. He was speaking about futuristic punishment dealing with Zechariah 14:12, which is none other than thermonuclear destruction. That man never talked about no damn Roman Catholicism and what Christianity teach. He never talked about nobody suffering on the earth for eternity. Read on, watch this.
And their eyes shall consume away in their holes.
So Christ had an idea about people's eyes burning in their sockets. Go ahead.
And their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
So Christ had an idea about people's tongue being burnt out their mouth. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 4.
Now stop right there. Read over to Malachi. Give me Malachi 4:1. Give me what Malachi 4:1, because this was written in Christ's time. Go ahead.
Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1.
Read on.
For behold, the day cometh, that shall burn as an oven.
So Christ came upon a reader, Malachi. Christ read these ancient Hebrew manuscripts and knew that it was a day that was coming that was going to burn like an oven too. Go ahead.
And all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble.
So Christ knew and had an idea that many of those that do wickedly shall be burnt up and stubble. The New Testament was not written in this time. So where did he pull from? These ancient Hebrew manuscripts that we read it, man. Go ahead.
Malachi chapter 4 verse 1. And the day that cometh shall burn them up.
Christ knew about that, man. That's what he saw. So when he came on the scene teaching about hell and fire, it was not of his own ideology. It was not of his own conception. It was not of his mind or of his own mindset. It was based upon the prophetic scriptures that the prophets left behind, man. That's what Christ, when he talked about hellfire, it takes you back to what? Zechariah 14:12. When he talks about hellfire, it takes you back to Malachi the 4th chapter. He never said nothing outside of the prophecies. That's what I'm telling you. It's already been established what Christ preached. Read on. What book, chapter, and verse you in?
Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Said the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
That it shall leave them neither root or branch. So do you understand when Christ came on the scene, those 27 books that you call the New Testament wasn't even around in his time? How you gonna read the New Testament when it ain't even around in your time? So what books you studied from? Christ studied from the Tanakh and the Apocrypha. And in the Tanakh and the Apocrypha, it speaks about World War III. And what is that? Can't have a war without thermonuclear fire. And he related that fire to the valley of Ben Hinnom in Jeremiah's time when the Israelites were sacrificing their sons and daughters in that fire. He just used it as a symbolization. What's to come ahead? Christian church, Roman Catholicism, passed it to Christianity, and many other denominations on down, and they don't took the doctrine and butchered it. Now they got you believing into it. They got you believing in a subterranean region where if you die, you've been eternally tormented. See what I'm talking about? That don't make no damn sense. Jews don't even believe in hell. But many of you Israelites still believing in that hell doctrine. That's how I know you're not a real Hebrew. Many of you still believing in that. You're going to go to hell. It's not in the Bible. You got to have your strong concordance when you're reading about hell. You got to go back to the Hebrew and the Greek. Now, do you not understand what we own? Go back to the drawing board, Op. The 8 perspectives of hell, we on the 6 perspectives. Trials and tribulation and pain in the earth. I kind of started rambling, but it's all good. Trials and tribulation and pain in the earth. Somebody may say, well, show me where trials, tribulation, pain, suffering as hell, fire, is in the Bible. Okay. You want to see it? Let's get straight into it.
Isaiah chapter 48 and verse 10.
Go ahead.
Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver.
He said, I have refined thee, but not with silver. Go ahead.
I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction.
And what?
I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction.
The furnace of affliction. Where's the furnace of affliction? The furnace of affliction is earth, man. That is called the furnace of affliction. The furnace of affliction is called earth. Oh, this is real deep, man. You ever wonder why Christ, you ever wonder why the Messiah spoke of bearing your cross? He said, he that is willing to follow me, let him bear his cross. You ever heard that? He always spoke of bearing your cross. But guess what? We know we live on a two-dimensional plane. We know we live on earth. How many directions are there on earth? North, south, east, and west, 4 directions, which makes up a cross, right? That's the biggest cross you got to ever carry down here. Wait a minute. See, I'm trying to show you something. See, on the earth, you have north, south, east, and west. Don't that make the cross? Don't that make the cross? So the primary directions on earth is north, south, east, and west. This is where you bear it all at. That's the ultimate cross. No matter where you go, whether it's north, south, east, or west, from your direction, it makes a cross. That's the bearing of your cross. You have to bear your own trial and tribulation and your burdens. All right? So Isaiah 48:10 calls it the furnace of affliction. Give me 1 Corinthians 3 and 13. I'm going to show you that your trial and tribulations is related to fire. The Israelites...
Got one ball left.
Okay, it's still going. Okay, the Israelites is related to gold. But the trial and tribulations that you have is to try you so you can be proved to be gold. That's all. Come on, man. 1 Corinthians 3 and 13.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 13.
Go ahead.
Every man's work shall be made manifest.
Uh-huh.
For the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire.
Uh-huh.
And the fire shall try every man's work.
The fire shall what?
The fire shall try every man's work.
It's this literal fire. No, it say the fire shall what?
The fire shall try every man's work.
Let me tell you what the fire is. Trials, tribulation, pain, and suffering that you go through on this earth. That's the fire. Go ahead. It said what?
It shall The fire shall try every man's work.
These trials are here to try your work, to see if you acceptable, to see if you're a piece of silver or aluminum, or to see if you're a piece of gold. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse.
All right, now go ahead. Read James. Get James right quick. Before the camera died, we got to keep it moving. Get James chapter 1 verse 2. And read James 1 and 2. Come on. Come on.
James chapter 1 and verse 2.
Come on.
My brethren, count it all joy.
Count it all joy. Go ahead.
When ye fall into diverse temptation.
Yeah, that's what it's talking about. Trial and tribulation relating to hell. Go ahead. Count it all joy when you're afflicted. Go ahead.
James chapter 1 and verse 3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience.
The trying of your faith worketh patience, because we are considered as gold, and we are to be tried in the fire. That's it?
That's it.
Give me 1 Peter 4 and 12. Come on. 1 Peter 4 and 12.
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 12.
Listen up. Watch this.
Beloved, think is not strange.
Don't think strange, Black, Hispanic, and Native American. Come on.
Concerning the fiery trial.
Concerning the what?
Concerning the fiery trial.
Now, did not Isaiah 48 and 10 call it the furnace of affliction? Now 1 Peter 4 and 12 call it the fiery trial. So what is the fire? The trials and the tribulations that you go through. The Roman Catholic Church took it and made it literal, man. Go ahead.
As though some strange thing happened unto you.
As though some strange thing. Now let's go to the seventh perspective for the sake of the time. Seventh perspective, nuclear fire. Okay? So we're dealing with the 8 perspectives of hell, right? Now we on the 7th perspective. The 7th perspective is talking about nuclear fire. Might not be able to do all the perspective because the camera is very low on the battery. It's talking about nuclear fire. I'm gonna shoot through this real quick. Nuclear fire is hell, and that's the 7th perspective. Okay? Now where can you find nuclear fire? Truth be told, you can find nuclear fire in the Old Testament prophecies. You can find nuclear fire in the New Testament prophecies. It's all over the Bible. But for the sake of time, we're going to deal with nuclear fire and New Testamental prophecy. Go to Revelation. Go to Revelation. Go to Revelation 20:14. Revelation 20:14.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 14.
Go ahead.
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire.
See? It say what?
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire.
So nuclear fire, y'all, it's 8 perspectives. Nuclear fire is also known as the lake of fire. The lake of fire. You know why nuclear fire is also known as the lake of fire? Because many nuclear warheads is going to touch ground over here, and they're going to create lakes of fire. So read it again.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 14.
For you Christians that want to believe in hell, that it's a place of torment, and that it has flames, what it say?
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire.
How come death and hell being cast into the lake of fire is hell is where you burn? Read it again.
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire.
So as far as that looked like in Revelation 20:14, it says death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. So that lets you know hell ain't where you burn. The lake of fire is where you burn, man. See that? That destroys your hell doctrine. Death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. So hell ain't got no power over the lake of fire. Because that ain't where you burn. The lake of fire is related to thermonuclear destruction. But did we not go over it early when we spoke about death and hell being the heat? Anyways, let's continue on. Read Revelation 14. Come on, hurry up for the camera go off. Revelation 14 and 9.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9.
All right, come on.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice,
Go ahead.
If any man worship the beast in his image,
If any man worship the beast is America. All right, the image of the beast is America. The image of the beast is America. The regular beast was the Roman Empire, which is modern day NATO. Go ahead. If you worship the beast or his image, which is America, go ahead.
and receives his mark on his forehead
The RFID chip that's coming, go ahead.
or in his hand.
And that mark is also as many false philosophies and religions. Go ahead.
Verse 10, the same shall drink up the wine of the wrath of God.
If you receive the image, if you receive the mark of the beast, if you follow the beast, or you receive the RFID chip, you're going to drink the wrath of God. Come on.
which is poured out without mixture.
Which is poured out, come on.
Into a cup of his indignation.
Yep, come on.
And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone.
Now, what is that fire and brimstone? Nuclear destruction. That's not hell. That's nuclear destruction, which is what? The seventh perspective. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 10.
All right, go ahead.
And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy nations and in the presence of the
presence of the holy nations. Read that over, man.
In the presence of the holy angels.
And I ain't even there and I know it by heart. Come on.
In the presence of the holy angels.
Go ahead.
And in the presence of the Lamb.
See, that's talking about thermonuclear destruction. Now, skip down to verse 11. Come on.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 11.
This is what they claim eternal damnation is. Go ahead.
And the smoke of their torment.
The smoke of their torment, not the smoke of them. This already actually been said. This already actually has been said. You know what it's been said at? This was said in Isaiah the 34th chapter. Isaiah 34 already spoke about this. It's just reiterating. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 11. And the smoke of their torment.
The smoke of their torment. The place of their torment is Babylon the Great, which is America. Go ahead.
Ascended up forever and ever.
Because when the Most High make these missiles touch ground on Babylon, this place gonna be on fire for a long time. Forever and ever means long periods of time that this place gonna burn. Go after destroyed by missiles. Go ahead.
And they have no rest day nor night.
They have no rest day or night. That goes back to Matthew 11 and 28, when Christ said, if you come to him, he'll give you rest. Because these people were found without Christ. To be found without Christ is not to have no rest day or night. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Who worship the beast in his image.
Because if you was in Christ, you would have rest. But since you're not in Christ, you don't have no rest because you worshiping the beast, which is modern day NATO, in the image, which is America. You're doing all the customs of America. If you were truly in Christ, you wouldn't be following the customs of America, which is the image of the beast, because you'll know the truth. So when you ain't in your outside, you don't have no rest. Go ahead. When you in false philosophies and you brainwashed, you duped down by the government, you don't have no rest. Go ahead.
And whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
Whosoever receiveth that mark, man. A new world order just. They're going to be tormented by fire and brimstone. That's the nuclear destruction. Go to Revelation 18. Come on.
Revelation chapter 18.
Come on. Revelation 18. And go ahead and bring out verse 8. Revelation 18:8. Come on.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 8.
Come on.
Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire.
She shall utterly be burned with fire. What is talking about? Go ahead, we're going to explain. Come on.
For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her.
So it's talking about Babylon the Great. Says she shall utterly be burned with fire. How do we know that? It's talking about Babylon the Great. Watch this. Go to verse 4 out of Revelation 18. Wait a minute. Revelation. Go to verse 2 out of Revelation 18.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 2.
All right, come on.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying,
Go ahead.
Babylon the Great is fallen.
What is fallen?
Babylon the Great is fallen.
It ain't say, okay, yeah, it did say that. Babylon the Great is fallen. Babylon is America. America is going to fall because Russia and third world countries going to blow the hell out of it. So when you're talking about the seventh perspective of nuclear fire, it's known as the lake of fire. Okay, all right? So the eighth perspective, the last perspective. The last perspective of the eight is your body. Your body is hell. Your body is hell. It's so many perspectives, man. I'm nearly tired trying to break down all these perspectives. But the last perspective is your body. Your body is hell. Now let me give you an esoteric breakdown on the body. You know, a guy told me this. All praises for the Most High, having him to enlighten me. He said your body is hell. You know why? It's because your spirit is the breath we breathe is related to your spirit. So when you breathe in, what they call it? They call it inhale. You see, when you breathe in, you inhale. So if the breath is related to the spirit, then you breathe the breath in, causing it to be inhaled. The body is hell. Now, when you exhale, what they call that exhale. When you exhale, you do what? You breathe out. So when you exhale, if your spirit is related to the breath, when you exhale, that means the spirit goes out of hell, which is the body. You see that? You see how deep that is? So to inhale is for the spirit to be in the body, to be incarcerated in this prison. To exhale is for your spirit to leave the body. You understand? That's why they call it inhale and exhale. Whether you want to put it this way, whether you want to put it inhale, exhale, all right? Or you want to put it inhale, or you want to put it exhale. The same rules apply. See? So your body is hell, man. All right? And there's so many book chapters and verses relating to the body. Oh man, I don't know how much time I got. Give me Galatians.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 16.
All right, come on.
Then, this I say then, walk in the spirit.
Walk in the spirit. The spirit is not the body. You don't have a body. Let me break that down. You don't have a body. You know what you have? You have a soul. That's what you have. You don't have a body. You have a soul. Okay? Go ahead.
And ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Because the body imprisons the soul. The body is a shell. Wait a minute. All praise due to that. The body is a shell. So I hope y'all got inhale and exhale. The body is a shell. Now let me show you something right quick, y'all. The body is a shell. When you let me make that big. S-H-E-L-L. What do you see in shell? You see hell. When you think of a shell, you think of a confinement place. A shell is to contain you or confine you. When you in a shell, you ever heard somebody say, "Man, I'm in a shell"? What lives in shell? Oysters and clams. Once there's in the shell, guess what else lives in the shell? A turtle. Oh, I'm gonna break it down. When a turtle soaks itself in, it's confined, it's trapped in a shell. What else lives in shell? Shellfish, crabs, lobsters, they live in shells. So to be in a shell is to be trapped. Now what is your body relating to your spirit? Your body is a shell to trap the spirit within. Your spirit cannot be released from the body until what? The shell has expired. Once the shell has expired, your spirit is free to be released from the body. So your body is nothing but a meat bag. This is nothing but a meat bag, a shell to what? Imprison your spirit, to keep your spirit from evacuating. But when the temple is torn down, like Paul said, when the tabernacle is torn down, we have a better place that's made without hands, which is in the 5th dimension of heaven. So your body is hell. And it said what in Galatians 4 and 16?
Galatians 4 and 16.
Come on.
This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Why I said not fulfill the lust of the flesh? Because your body is hell. All right? Read verse 17 out of Galatians 5. Come on.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 17.
Go ahead.
For the flesh lusted against the spirit.
The flesh lusts against the spirit. So the body is hell, man. There's nothing good about the body. Why? Because it's against your spirit, man. And lust against the spirit is the spirit's enemy. Go ahead.
And the spirit against the flesh.
And the spirit against the flesh. The body and the spirit are like enemies. The body don't like the flesh. The flesh don't. No, the body don't like the spirit, and the spirit don't like the body. Go ahead.
And these are so contrary, the one to the other.
Uh-huh.
So that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
Yeah, because when you desire to do right, evil always present. This flesh, this meat bag, this hell, is always bringing your spirit under subjection, man. Okay? So that's why I said that, walk in the spirit. Galatians 5 and 16. Walk in the spirit. Because if you're not walking in the spirit, man, you're going to be subject to the hell, which is the body. You understand? So like I said, man, it's so many things that else relates to the body. Go to Romans. Go to Romans right quick. If we got enough of time. But yeah, that's the spirit. Go ahead, read Romans 6 and 14. Come on.
Romans chapter 6 and verse 14.
I ain't even mean to get that one. That's the spirit. Go ahead.
For sin shall not have dominion over you.
What is sin? Flesh. It shall not have dominion over your spirit, because your flesh and your body is hell. Go ahead.
For ye are not under the law.
We're not under the law of sacrifice. We're not under the law of animal sacrifice anymore. Go ahead. under grace through S.F.I.A. Now watch this. Skip over and read Romans 7:14. Watch this.
Romans chapter 7 and verse 14.
Talking about the body being hell. Go ahead.
For we know that the law is spiritual.
The law is spiritual, but what Paul said?
We know that the law is spiritual.
Come on.
But I am carnal.
I'm carnal. What carnal is relating to? The body, the flesh. This is hell, man. Paul said I'm in hell. Go ahead.
I am carnal.
Oh, what?
I am carnal.
I'm fleshly. I'm in a body. I'm in a stupid body that is trying to bring my spirit under subjection. Go ahead.
I am carnal, sold under sin.
On what?
I am carnal, sold under sin.
Because that's exactly what happened to a lot of us. Your spirit is in a meat bag. Your body is hell. And it wars against your spirit to sell it under sin, man. Now watch this. Skip over and read verse 24 out of Romans 7. Watch this.
Romans chapter 7 and verse 24.
The body which is hell, this is what it makes your spirit. This is what it makes you. Go ahead.
Oh, wretched man that
No,
I am.
Paul say what?
Oh, wretched man.
Oh, wretched, what?
Oh, wretched man.
He said I'm a wretched man because my body, which is hell, has torn me down, man. Go ahead, read.
Oh, wretched man. Oh, wretched man that I am.
There's a lot of us wretched. Why? Because this body, which is hell, is bringing the spirit under subjection. It's destroying us, man. That's the ultimate goal, to overcome. Come on.
Who shall deliver me from the body?
Why do Paul want deliverance from this body? Because it's hell. He said what?
Who shall deliver me from the body of this death?
A righteous man, a righteous Hebrew Israelite, a righteous Hebrew Israelite woman, a righteous Hebrew Israelite man is not going to be content with this body which is hell. They not going to like it. They're going to desire to be free. They're going to desire to be into the home which is not made with hands. Why? Because as long as you live in this body, it brings the spirit under subjection. If you don't have the mind power, you're not going to overcome. So if you're not careful, your body, which is hell, is going to cause you to become wretched man, wretched woman, wretched children. That's what Paul said. He said, I'm a wretched man because I'm in a body which is classified as hell. And he said, who shall what?
Who shall deliver me from the body of this death?
Remember when I said earlier? So it's not nothing wrong. It's not a bad thing to be willing to die. It's not a bad thing. It's death. Death is the best thing. You know why? You should celebrate when someone dies because that's the true deliverance from the body which is hell. They can go back home to the fifth dimension and they can rest. That's why they put R.I.P. on your gravestone, because you can truly rest in peace. You're not down here suffering trials and tribulations. You're not down here in this body suffering misfortune and trials and tribulations. But then you go to somebody's funeral and you cry. That's a wretched woman, that's a wretched man that has been delivered from the body of hell, man. People don't understand that. All right? One more last one. One more last one. Go to Revelation. If I got time to bring it up.
Revelation chapter 3 and verse 12.
Come on.
Him that overcometh.
Him that what?
Him that overcometh.
Overcome what? Overcome this region, this third dimension, hell. Overcome what? Trials and tribulations in this life that is referred to hell. Overcome what? The heathen and the Gentiles to stop doing what they're doing because they're related to the sorrows of hell. Overcome what else? Overcome what else? Overcome the mark of the beast, which is America, the image of the beast, which is America. And stop doing American customs. All these 8 perspectives of hell. He that overcome, last but not least, your body. He that overcome this body that's trying to bring the flesh in subjection. Go ahead.
Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God.
Where's the temple of the God that he's going to make the pillar with us? The fifth dimension, the spirit world. Go ahead.
And he shall go no more out.
He shall what?
Go no more out.
Because if you don't overcome, you're coming right back again on the earth. If you don't overcome, you're being reincarnated to come back into hell again all over on the earth. So he that overcome will what?
He that overcometh, will I make a pillar in the temple of my God. And he shall go no more out.
Where you going at? He said he should go no more out. When you go back to the spirit world, where you going at when he say he shall go no more out? To go out is to be hurled back down on the earth. How? You got to be reincarnated. You're going to receive a new body. And you're going to catch this hell all over again. Because you didn't overcome what was in your former life. Everybody here on the earth to overcome some trial and tribulation. I don't know what your trial and tribulation is, Brother Malachi. Brother Urema, I don't know what your trial and tribulation is. Sister Bar Israel, I don't know what your, Sister Judith, I don't know what your trial and tribulation is. But we all been sent back on earth because to let you know we back here, to let you know we failed. We got to overcome. We got to get out this third dimension before we can explore many other dimensions that's in wait for us. Many other mansions in the Father's house. You will never leave out if you overcome. Read that.
Revelation chapter 3 and verse 12.
All right.
And I will write upon him the name of my God.
Okay, you can stop right there. So we have given you the 8 perspectives of hell. We gave you all the perspectives of hell. This has been a long lesson. I appreciate Brother Malachi for being the cameraman, for staying on point, for operating, you know, and for Brother Urema for reading this lesson. But this has been a long lesson because I wanted to break down all these perspectives of hell. Next lesson is going to be you got perspectives of heaven. See? So, before we close out, I want you to understand, when you read about hell in the Bible, you need to understand it's 8 perspectives of hell. What hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? See? It's many other perspectives. The word hell don't have just one perspective through the whole Bible. It's many perspectives of hell. Actually, it's 8. Okay? It's actually 8. Maybe it might be more than that. But these are the ones that I have discovered through my research and breaking down the scriptures using the Hebrew concordance and the Grecian concordance. Now give me Psalm 78 and 2. I want you to notice when you read the Bible that the Bible is very difficult sometimes to read. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the Bible is written in allegories, metaphors, similitudes, and it's written in parables. Give me Psalm 78 and 2. Come on.
Psalm chapter 78 and verse 2.
Go ahead. Come on.
I will open my mouth in a parable.
What?
I will open my mouth in a parable.
Now watch this. What did it say?
I will open my mouth in a parable.
Check this out.
I will utter dark sayings.
I will what?
I will utter dark sayings.
So that's telling you that some book, chapter, and verses in the Bible is in parables and dark sayings. It's not just to the surface. It's not easy to comprehend. It's in parables and dark sayings. When you come across certain instances on hell in the Bible, they in parables and dark sayings. You know, they in parables. That's a dark saying dealing with the rich man and Lazarus. In hell, he lived this out. That's a dark saying. Many people can't comprehend.